guys, today I have a DPS6 that we're going to be changing fluid on, and this is going to be on a 2014 Fiesta, but of course the focus is the same. They're same throughout all the years that the DPS6 was out, which is 2011 and on. Now the very first thing you want to do is jack it up just like so, okay? Get it on some jack stands, both sides nice and even, and we can go underneath and start the draining process. Now, I get a lot of questions on where the drain plug and fill plug are at, so let's go over that in detail, and then we'll get started. So we'll go down underneath here. We're all on jack stands, like I said, nice and safe. And right there you can see the drain plug. It's a T50, okay? Now on the Fiestas, they don't have the underbelly here, the skirt underneath here, but the Focus does. So you're going to need to take that off so you can get access to the transmission here. It's a bunch of T20 and T30 bolts underneath there. So the very first thing you want to do is pull that plug out. Like I said, it's a T50, and we'll start draining it into our drain pan here. Before that though, you may want to pull the fill plug, and yes, it is buried up in there. So right here is the driver's side CV axle, and on the side of the transmission just above it is the fill plug. So we're going to pull that also so we have a good airflow through the transmission, and we can really do a good drain out of here. Now in order to get to the fill plug right here on the side of the transmission, you're going to pull the driver's side tire off, get that out of the way so we can have access straight on through to it. Now you see the subframe right here is right in the way of this. So what you really need to use is a 8mm ball end hex on a socket platform, preferably, because it's going to be pretty tight to get that off of there. Alternately, what I found to work is a swivel extension, okay? Let me pull this off, show you what it is. Swivel extension, and then a standard 8mm on there. And you can see it fits in there just right without any messy universals getting in the way, and we can get in there just right so we get a full insertion and there's no chance of stripping it out. So what we'll do now is we'll just turn it off of there, and we'll pull it out fully. And just in case it's overfilled a little bit, we'll go ahead and start pulling that drain plug out of there and pull that out by hand. Okay, now with our fill plug loose, we can come down here and pull our drain plug out. We'll get it draining, and then we'll go back up top side there and pull that fill plug so we can vent it out. Let it drain. Now these usually drain right around 2 quarts of fluid, and you want to make sure you use the Ford Motorcraft Dual Clutch Fluid. It's just made just for this transmission. So the synchros and all that can work just right in there. You can see it doesn't hold too much. So we got it draining. Let's go up top and pull that fill plug, and just let it drain for a couple minutes till we get a few inconsistent drips, and then we're ready to go back together. Okay, now it's safe to pull that fill plug out. We're just trying to avoid any spillage out the fill plug to avoid any mess. So at this point it should just come out right quick by hand. And these do have O-rings built into the plug. They're reusable, so don't worry about it. No thread sealant is required to clean up the plug. Alright, once it gets to this point right here, you're not going to get much more out of there. It only takes about 5 minutes, a pretty thin fluid on there. So at this point we'll go ahead and put our drain plug back in. Again, no sealant required. It's got a built-in O-ring. And we'll snug it up with our T50. Now the torque spec on these is actually pretty high. You can see the size of the plug there. It's around 35 foot-pounds. I'll put all the links to the fluid and the torque specs, everything down below for you, so you have a good general reference for your vehicle. So let's go ahead and torque it down Okay. Okay, now that the drain plug is tightened down there, torqued to spec, we're going to want to keep our drain pan down here because we're going to fill this thing until it's overflowing out the drain hole. Now you want your vehicle to be basically level at this point for this fill procedure. It can be a little bit off, but as long as you jack the vehicle up and have it right about level, we can keep it on the jack stands and fill this thing right. So the problem with this, again, is using your fill funnel. It's off to the side, it's kind of hidden behind the frame here, the subframe, so we need to get creative, okay? Now what I found to work is something like this, a super small funnel. We can get it down in that tight area, and then I'll finish with my standard transmission funneling. Now once you have it deep down inside of there, our drain pan's underneath, collect the excess. We're just literally gonna fill it till it's overflowing, okay? So what you wanna do though is pick this up just a little bit and pay attention because it will flow out the end of the funnel. It's a funky little setup here. And like I said, right at 2 quarts it seems these things start flowing out. The drain plug on, or the fill plug on there. So let's put 2 quarts in at first, nice and slow, and then we'll adjust from there. Right there you can see it's already oozing out. I was gonna empty the rest of the bottle. I'm gonna save that a little bit. So at this point we'll just pull this funnel out. Now once it has an inconsistent drip or a really thin stream coming out of there, we can go ahead with our clean fill plug and just go ahead and cap it off on there. And we're gonna put it in by hand so that we don't cross thread it, because like I said, it's a real awkward area. And that's why I get the question a lot, where's the fill plug on these? Because it's kind of hidden. So we'll go ahead and get it on there. And then we're gonna use that same swivel extension, get it in there. We can torque it down again to 35 foot-pounds. Now once you have it torqued, the transmission is sealed. So at this point, again, with our drain pan underneath, we're gonna grab our brake clean and give it a good wash down. Shine her up a bit. Now the fluid in your DPS6 transmission should be changed about every 60,000 miles so you keep it nice and clean in there. Remember, it's just a manual gearbox that is shifted automatically by the TCM. So you can treat it just the same as a regular manual transmission that you've been used to all these years. By every 60,000 miles is more than enough. You'll notice the fluid comes out pretty darn clean, but what we're doing is renewing the properties of the fluid by changing it out. And as you saw, 2 quarts is all you need. Second quart I was putting in, what the heck was that? We were actually overfilling the transmission, which is what you want to do. So you just saw right there, you only need 2 quarts. Don't buy more than you need, especially because the fluid is like $20 a quart, okay? So I'll have links to everything down below for your convenience, the swivel extension, the size of the socket you need, everything you need to get the job done and get the job done yourself. I'll see you next time.